Illuminati is a thing you need to watch out for. They want to depopulate and slave us so much more. World domination, I'll get into that later. I'm hardcore, fierce and sexy. You're just a hater. You deserve the ridicule cause you're an absolute zero. I'm the keeper of the chalice, a rock and roll hero. I'm not an idiot nobody listens to, cause I'm not a failure in life like you. Let's talk about Bill Gates and the mark of the beast, and the orgies in the streets at the Catholic feasts, and Bill and Hillary's human trafficking ring, and George Soros got the money to pay for everything. Socialism is for losers, working for the devil. Chumps that can't fight, they ain't on my level. It takes an evil one to try to debunk and doubt it, so I'd rather die than stop talking about it. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out for the Illuminati.
Hi, let's talk about condemnation. Watching the MC Too Tall show. I'm MC Too Tall. And let's talk about condemnation. Condemnation is a powerful tool. With great power comes great responsibility. And not everyone that they say there's an urgency to condemn is there necessarily an urgency to condemn. By that, a good example of that would be Nick Fuentes. Now, I may have said in previous videos, leave that young man alone, let him cook, and then I come to find that he refers to Jewish people as cookies. So let him cook probably wasn't the best thing to say, and had I had knowledge of that, I probably would not have said that. Also, he did say Hitler was cool, and he gave some praise and admiration to Joseph Stalin. Now, I still don't condemn him for this. It's his First Amendment right to say that. You could say that all you want, but I have my First Amendment right to call people who say things like that straight up assholes. Now, you got to be careful of who you condemn, because some fringe guy that thinks Hitler's cool isn't damaging the world. People that do Hitler-like things, like control your speech, that is harmful. People that order you to condemn people that you don't give a shit about from a hole in the wall, that is harmful. There are a lot of people that didn't care about Trump either way. His presence, the mention of his name, neither warmed nor cooled anyone among these people. And so when you're force-fed, Trump is a dictator, Trump is this, Trump is that, you must hate Trump, you must hate Trump, and this is a person that certain people didn't pay much attention to or care about, and they decide, well, you know what, before I do that, let me be the judge of that, let me hear what he has to say. No, don't listen to him. That's pretty, pretty much self-explanatory there. It's like they're trying to control your speech when they tell you, you must condemn this person, you must condemn that person. You condemn whoever you want to condemn. You shouldn't be ordering other people to condemn who you condemn. And general consensus will be general consensus. General consensus is that Trump should have been elected president in 2024, and thus he got elected president in 2024. And general consensus is that he's doing a good job thus far. He's doing such a good job as president that we may well have a lock on the midterms. I believe that wholeheartedly. We have a lock on the midterms. However, let's get back to this Nick Fuentes. People are trying to order you to condemn Tucker Carlson. And yeah, there's certain things where they say Tucker Carlson was a little bit too much of a softy interviewing him. And it's his platform. It's his platform. He can choose whether to grill Ted Cruz and use whether or not Ted Cruz knows the population of Iran or not as a factor as to why U.S. should or should not have bombed the nuclear sites in Iran. And he can serve up light softball questions to Nick Fuentes if he so chooses. It's his platform. It's his world. He could do what he wants in his world. And nobody should tell you whether or not to condemn Tucker Carlson for having Nick Fuentes on his show, or even to condemn Nick Fuentes himself. Now, I don't believe Tucker Carlson to be 0% valid. I don't even believe Nick Fuentes to be 0% valid. I don't believe Andrew Tate to be 0% valid. In fact, I would say all three men are comfortably over 50% valid. But there's enough in that less than 50% about Nick Fuentes that I probably could say there's enough there to agree to disagree with Nick Fuentes on. But that's not a condemnation. That's just a mere disagreement on certain specific issues, like Hitler being cool, for example. I disagree with that whole premise that somehow, that Hitler is cool. So, anyway, that's what I'm trying to say with this. You could agree to disagree with people. You could even have less than 30%, be less than 30% in agreement with a person without having to condemn them. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to condemn somebody, do it from your own merit, your own research, your own assessment of the person, and not based off of somebody else's decision that they wanted to condemn the person. Now, the fact that this kid's name is being mentioned over and over and over again by guys like Mark Levin. Mark Levin has a big platform. It cannot be argued that Mark Levin has a big platform. Mark Levin is not exactly a nobody. He's got many years in broadcasting. He's even worked under the Reagan administration. And he is an accomplished and accurate historian. That being said, with all those credentials and all that time under his belt in broadcasting, you would think somebody on his level would look at someone on Nick Fuentes' level as small potatoes. Although Nick Fuentes does have a big internet following, Mark Levin is closer to being a household word than Nick Fuentes at the present time. So, by mentioning him, even in a bad light, you're platforming him while condemning Tucker Carlson for platforming him. So I think there's something to be said about that there. I would sooner stop following Mark Levin than condemn Nick Fuentes, because every time I turn on YouTube or television or the radio, there's Mark Levin telling me there's some kid in Chicago named Nick Fuentes that I have to disavow and condemn. And I also have to condemn Tucker Carlson, who I happen to like, for bringing Nick Fuentes on his show and interviewing him. And condemnation is a powerful tool. With great power comes great responsibility, as I said earlier in this video. And you got to choose your battles wisely. And the condemnation has to come from a place within, not from some external being ordering you to condemn. My concern is not people like Nick Fuentes. My concern, as it's been for decades, is the Illuminati. The Illuminati is real, and they go against a very real God, whose wrath all of earth will have to suffer for the allowance of the Illuminati to continue its wicked ways. Now, some don't like that word Illuminati. Right off the bat, they think, conspiracy theory. There is no Illuminati. But if you don't want to use the word Illuminati, let's say the people behind the scenes, or the people in power that don't make the news every day for being in power, or the conglomerate of secret societies, as I like to call it. Whatever you want to call it, the deep state, the matrix. What it's not is the Jews. As I mentioned in past videos, the term the Jews is a facade used by certain members of the conglomerate because it works so well for them. They could do their secret societal bullshit that hurts the whole rest of the world, and when they're called on it, they could raise their Jewish card and say, you're being an anti-Semite. Kind of like how they fronted the New World Order by propping up Barack Obama, a half-black man being presented as a whole black man. And if you disagree with his secret societal agenda, you're a racist. You see where we're going with that. Then they propped up somebody else who wasn't black, Kamala Harris. And if you go against whatever policies she's pushing, which weren't necessarily her own, I don't think she has enough brains in her skull to come up with a policy, but whatever agenda she was pushing, if you're against it, she's supposedly a black woman, and thus you are racist. See where it goes with that? So if you oppose certain people with certain last names that have been seen in a few photographs with yarmulkes on, they're going to brand you an anti-Semite. Meanwhile, there's nothing Jewish about what these sickos under this Jewish facade are doing. And that's where my concern is. Not with actual Jewish people, but these people that hide behind that facade. And even those who don't hide behind that facade, but have the Illuminati thing in common, the secret societal thing in common. And that's where the real focus should be. You guys got to start listening to William Cooper's broadcasts. He did an interview with CNN in 1992. If you catch any of the thumbnails, he's wearing like a red and white plaid shirt, and he's sitting on a couch. So if you find that thumbnail, anything picturing him dressed like that is part of that CNN interview. You might even catch the whole interview if it's still out there. Definitely a must watch. Definitely a must watch. And it was to my understanding that prior to the interview, they aired all kinds of disclaimers in an effort to debunk William Cooper. But at least back then, they did the journalistic thing and just let him talk without cutting him off, without trying to confront him with all kinds of classic, baseless debunkery and stuff. But anyway, there's my take on the matter regarding who and who not to condemn. I'd sooner condemn any powerful Democrat than some guy that says a few inflammatory things out of Chicago. Or Tucker Carlson, who I happen to like, for interviewing him and not in a way that people would prefer him to interview him. I mean, how would I have done it? I don't know if I would have done it. Kudos to Tucker for actually doing it. But that's my take on the matter there. And got to get right with God, man. You got to get right with God. Because God is your last and only hope in combating the Illuminati. Respect God. Watch out for the Illuminati. Like, follow, share, comment, subscribe. Stay strong. Keep kicking that slang. It's your boy in the building, hip-hop legend, recording engineer, underground rock and roll hero. Your hardcore, fierce, and sexy host that is never gross, MC Too Tall. Be good.